Man, I love worms. Not these kind of worms, no. Get this away from me, thank you. I like Worms, the franchise. I've been familiar with the Worms franchise ever since I was a kid, thanks to my cousins, who gave me a pirated disc with Worms written on it with Sharpie. It was a copy of Worms 2, and it hooked me in from the get-go. What a novel concept, little fellas that explode each other. To sum it up, it's a turn-based artillery game, where one player at a time controls one of their worms, and uses various epic Reddit wacky weapons to kill their opponent's worms. The last team standing wins. Sorry, I just realized what I said earlier. I apologize, I'm in a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. There's a surprising amount of depth for such a silly little game. Lots of unique mechanics, hidden away behind very archaic controls. Seriously, trying to get your friends to play any Worms game in the modern day, like, expect them to always complain about, why is enter jump? Why is space fire? You can change your control! Worms makes for a great party game. Getting a few friends together via voice call, insulting each other as your little fellas throw exploding sheep and airstrikes at usually their own teammates. It's great fun. But then, you might not ask, because you're not gonna speak out loud to a YouTube video, which Worms game should I play? There's so many! And that's the problem. See, the Worms franchise has been going for a long time now, ever since the 90s. And yet, with each new installment, they seem to have even less of an idea of what to do with their games. Each one features weird modernizations that didn't really need to exist in the first place, and forgets about something crucial from past installments. Oh, this one adds realistic water physics, and the water deals a very weak amount of drowning damage if you're in it. Oh, this one adds classes. This guy heals himself 5 HP each turn. This guy is more agile. Oh, this one is in 3D. Oh, this one has buildable structures. It split the player base apart. Some war maniacs, I'm sorry I said this, will say, hey, you should try the 3D games, they're more fun. Hey, you should try the class-based games, there's more variety. Hey, I don't know, hey, you should try the... If I had to pick, the best one is Armageddon, hands down. And that's partially due to its modding scene. I mean, you can even make your own weapons in it. I mean, like proper scripted programmed weapons. None of that Worms 4 team weapon building system. I'm gonna go down through each subcategory of Worms games I can remember, ignoring some of the more insane spin-offs like Worms Blast or the one that's just fucking golf. Pixel perfect as shit. Nope, okay. And explain my thoughts on them and why I think they were done wrong or right or what could have been done better. I'll also talk about why the franchise as a whole has been crashing down in my opinion. I mean, look at the most recent game. It's a battle royale. It's a battle royale with real-time controls in a franchise known for being turn-based and with no destructible terrain in a franchise that's known for destructible terrain. It has like 2 players right now. It's not even enough to start a match. God only knows how long they've been waiting in that matchmaking lobby. But first, for you to understand everything, we need to go back to the very beginning. Worms were invented in the Worms 1. I first played Worms 1 on stream during my Wormathon, which was me gathering footage for this video essentially. It's so old that the game on Steam actually first runs a DOS emulator to even launch it. It's proto-Worms, it's ancient, and yet a surprising amount of features from modern Worms games are still present, though an equal amount are absent. You can't even backflip, which is like half the moveset you have in this like tiny little game. Oh my gosh, that's sheep! They actually do have sheep! Oh my... It has a small selection of weapons and a few cartoony cutscenes, but since it's the first game in the franchise, I don't have that much to say about it. You could argue that that's actually like the most important game to talk about, and that I should compare each installment to the first game, but no. I'd argue that the best game to compare other games to comes a few installments later. Armageddon. Worms 1 is a neat little piece of gaming history, but that's about it. I don't know, there's not much to say here. I mean, just look at this. Let's just skip to Worms 2. Worms 2. Might not be the best game of the franchise, but it did everything it needed to do, and it did it right. There was a lot of customization, honestly. More than most other games in the franchise, like even years later. They let you adjust essentially every part of every weapon, from normal typical stuff you see nowadays in Worms games like the damage of the weapon, to the more niche stuff, like how many homing clusters a homing cluster bomb would have. Which is, by the way, as far as I'm aware, the only time this weapon ever existed. Setting it too high would result in making the most OP weapons ever. Which was fun, I mean it's a game about destroying the terrain and wreaking havoc. But there really isn't much to say about this game either, because Well, the franchise really started crapping itself way later. This is just like the preliminary ramble that every YouTuber does to pad the video. It is an improvement over Worms 1 in every way. Good terrain destruction, amazing physics. I love the art style. Like, the art style is the most iconic one they've had so far, and they stuck with it for a solid while, so they probably liked it too. Still, I have a lot of good memories with this game. Worms Armageddon and Worms World Party were essentially both the same game. And I'd consider both of them a direct sequel to Worms 2. They had the same art style and graphic assets as Worms 2, but the gameplay itself was more fleshed out. More weapons, like way more weapons, a more elaborate single-player campaign, more customization, despite taking away the in-depth weapon adjustments from Worms 2, and a more fleshed out online mode that's actually still very much alive, like you can still find many players right now. Both Worms World Party and Armageddon have their differences, however small, but Armageddon sweeps and it's not even close. It's just so much better, I'm sorry. World Party has a bit more customization options than Armageddon, but Armageddon is the one people stuck with over the years, so it automatically wins. It's still getting updates to this day, and it's a game from the 90s. To be fair, they are community updates by very dedicated members, but still, if you want to play a good Worms game, play this. Everything about this game is just good. The terrain destruction is still as good as Worms 2. The music is really good. The art style is good. I just can't stop saying good things about it. There's modding support. You can mod your own custom weapons, like I said earlier, with Project X, I believe it's called. I remember making my own little custom weapons for this. I think I used to play with my friend we both liked the game a lot, and we would take turns making one extra weapon each. And basically we eventually filled out a whole second menu of weapons. I remember one weapon I made was a volcano, which was a dynamite reskin, which instead of exploding, released a cone of napalm into the air. It was really fun, I don't know, man. Another one I remember is a fake medkit that, like, when you touch it, it explodes, but it didn't really work because the enemy can see that you're placing it. It doesn't really work well. But I have so many good memories with this game. I'm gonna be comparing most of the upcoming games to Armageddon because it's de facto the best game in this franchise. And everyone will tell you that, except for some people, I guess. But now, here's where the problems come in. Armageddon is old. It's really old. Trying to update a game that's this old is a very tedious task, and it's not like Team 17 is adding anything new to it anyway. It's just the community members adding small patches here and there, trying their hardest to make the game run on modern PCs. But it's archaic. Trying to get somebody to play a game they've never heard of that released in the 90s is difficult, believe me. The game literally changes your screen resolution on launch, which is enough to freak out any zoomer into thinking it's a virus. So if the franchise wants any chance at staying relevant, it needs something more modern. Just so you know, people like this guy exist.
It's actually fucking 2D! Dude, and this is fun?
So Team 17 was like, let's add another dimension. 17 of them to be clear. The first major fanbase split for the franchise. Making a 3D Worms game was a somewhat controversial move, although one that I'd say more people liked than disliked. I personally like it a lot, actually. It's interesting. Controlling your worms in 3 directions is very different. The game is less fast-paced compared to 2D, things are more grounded and slow, and because of that, combat is way more tense, maps are way smaller, and weapons are way less destructive. I think the maps being smaller was partially because of the limitations at the time. Making destructible terrain was kinda heavy on PCs back in the day, I think, so they had to make it small. While the game tried its best to translate the 2D games into 3D, you can tell it couldn't exactly get some things right. For example, the bazooka and the wind system in general. Wind in 2D Worms is a simple mechanic to understand. It goes in only 2 directions, either helping you or hindering you. It's pretty easy to do the calculation in your head. The wind is blowing left, my enemy's to the right, I gotta put more force on my shot, right? Wind is blowing to the right, my enemy's to the right, I can just tap fire and the rocket will still fly pretty far. But in Worms 3D, the wind is also 3-dimensional. And now you actually gotta calculate the actual trajectory of your projectile in a 3D space. You gotta do physical calculations in your head, while a time limit is ticking down, only for the projectile to do the same damage as a single hit scan weapon that doesn't need any of that work. The only person who actually uses wind-based weapons is the AI, because it fucking knows everything about the game. It is the game. Actually, never mind, scratch that. TM. The AI loves cluster bombs for some reason. It's like the only thing it will ever use. Yeah, I think it's because they're so weak. That's the only way they could nerf the difficulty if the AI just make it use shitty weapons all the time. Despite that, there were a lot of things they translated pretty well. Terrain destruction was pretty fun, despite being on the lesser scale, like I said. Breaking chunks off of buildings is fun. However, there's some missed potential. I assume it's due to the way they handle destruction and maps in general, but there's nothing inside the vast majority of terrain objects. There's no hidden hidey holes, no caves, no rooms in solid buildings. Dark siding was non-existent. On the brighter side, the game is pretty nice looking for its time. The new worm designs are actually pretty cute. Unrelated fun fact, by the way, but the game's composer also composed the nightclub theme from Club Penguin. The game is lacking in the customization department though. Rounds are less customizable than in 2 or Armageddon. There are less weapons overall, though compared to Worms 4, there's still quite a lot. In Armageddon, the weapons menu was fully filled in. Every single button had a corresponding weapon or tool. In Worms 3D, and in many other Worms games from this point onward, most of the slots were empty and had no corresponding weapons. As you can see, there's 8 whole empty slots, and that includes this super rare, like very hidden weapon, the giant mine. There's also a Red Bull, just straight up. And in the game's files, there's like unused icons for Viagra. Gonna make my worm longer. So, while Worms 3D was an interesting decision to take the franchise, it ended up splitting the fan base. Now they have to cater to 2 subcategories of fans at a time. The 3D fans and the 2D fans. It's not necessarily the end of the world, but it does add pressure to the development teams. Worms Forts Under Siege is the first gimmicky entry in the mainline Worms series. It's kind of like Worms 3D, but instead of killing the enemy team, you can also wreck their shit. You get to place buildings on these little star spots, and you can use special weapons from the roofs of said buildings. It was something, I guess. Yeah, I couldn't play it too much as a kid, because the game didn't run on my PC very well. It would often crash on the main menu, but I did play it on my cousin's PC. If I remember correctly, it didn't even have destructible terrain, only the buildings could be destroyed. That's crazy, no wonder the game did so poorly. It's like one of the only 2 main things people want in a Worms game. Compared to Worms 3D, Worms Forts had way less weapons to pick from. There were some new ones that were exclusive to the tower structures if you stood on top of them, but overall the options were lacking. You'd end up using the same few things all the time. Round customization was kind of lacking as well. Though at least we had hats for the first time ever. I think. Worm hats, let's go! But yes, you're going to start to notice the trend now. Downsizing mainline mechanics to make room for gimmicky side stuff. Less weapons and content, but there's like towers, I guess. I don't know, nobody asked for this. Can't even break the terrain, but like, towers? The game didn't do that well, and isn't popular within the Worms fanbase except for like a small handful of people who think it's like the best thing ever. But to me and most people, it's just a worse version of Worms 3D. It's like a game mode for Worms 3D that ended up being a standalone game. Worms 4 is next, and is yet another 3D Worms game. It is Worms 3D, but overhauled and modified in every single way. There's a bit of a debate between the fans of 3D Worms games whether 3D is better or 4 is better. Because while 4 features way more content overall, 3D felt a bit more real and grounded, more Worms-like? If that's even a thing that means anything. Featuring a proper single-player campaign with a cohesive, consistent story and even cutscenes. A lot of customization for your worms, including things like outfits and custom weapons. It has achievements you can earn in-game, Easter eggs inside the campaign, and a shop with currency you can earn by playing games. It brought back the worm pot from World Party that lets you customize your games a bit more. It even had a bit of a modding community back in the day, with people modeling their own custom maps and modding the shit out of their custom team weapons to destroy half the map in one shot in online multiplayer matches, which was called tweaking if I recall correctly. So it must be great then. Amazing even. It did reasonably okay, I suppose, if you look at the numbers. But yet again, we're seeing that pattern. Wide as an ocean, deep as a puddle. Each of these things they added is just kind of okay, I guess, in my opinion at least. They tried to do everything, so everything they did. But all of that stuff was shallow. Instead of focusing on what makes worms worms, they tried to reinvent the wheel again. You don't really need achievements or shops with currency. Honestly, I don't even really want a single player campaign either, because to me, Worms is a party game. The story is uninteresting, and there's hardly any way for me to care about the characters in a Worms game. They just have never managed to make it work for me. The team weapon building system is very interesting as a concept, but the way they did it was very limited. Most gimmicky, fun weapon combos were considered too unbalanced, and thus the game would prevent you from saving them. Even adding something simple like poison would spike the fuck out of that balance gauge, so you would usually end up with basic stuff like a projectile weapon that doesn't break the terrain but deals full damage to worms. I do like the outfits though. Look at my drippy worm. Fedoras are awesome. Fedoras are awesome. Worms Open Warfare was a game on the PSP, I think. I didn't have one myself, and the only friend I knew who had one used it exclusively to play Patapon. Patapon, pata pata patapon. Okay, wait. To be fair with you, Worms Open Warfare and the next few games are all almost exactly the same game, just ported over to different consoles. I could talk about the minor differences between them and how one of them is space themed and how one has like a choppier frame rate and like, oh, this one had this notorious bug, blah blah blah, but like realistically it's all the same game. I'm more so talking about the franchise direction, not individually tier listing every single game in the franchise. So I'll just group them up under the Worms Reloaded umbrella, since that's basically what this generation of games was. Worms Reloaded. Worms Reloaded is very bare bones. So bare bones that there's not even much to talk about. Like, writing this section of the script took me the longest despite how much of a nothing burger this game is, because it is such a nothing burger. Every time I came back to the script thinking of anything to write, good or bad, I just couldn't. I mean, I don't know man, the menu for example, just look at this. I won a match and it showed me a bunch of text and kicked me back to the equally as bare-bones starting screen. The gameplay is just watered down Worms. It's not horrible per se, they just didn't try that hard. When you play two matches back to back, one in Reloaded and one in Armageddon, it becomes noticeable what is missing. The physics being off, the weapon selection being even more limited than before, the graphics being too flat for my tastes, and that's just a few examples. They did put some effort into worm customization. We have hats for the first time in 2D worms. You can even make custom speech banks, which you could do previously with mods, but now it's officially supported. But in terms of gameplay, things are just too lacking. The gameplay lacks any oomph. I didn't feel any satisfaction killing worms. It just kinda happened and I just kinda stared at the screen, blank-faced. Reloaded is a 5 out of 10 Worms game. It's got the bare minimum, but it lacks any real identity. It's like a skinwalker pretending to be Worms Armageddon and failing to fool anybody who knows the real thing. I think to make it better they would have needed to just start over, I think. Worms. So, just like the previous few titles being under one umbrella, Worms Revolution, Worms Clan Wars, and Worms Battlegrounds can all realistically be under the same umbrella, as they barely differ from one another. If the previous entry was like a nothing burger, not much was new. Well, this one tries too hard to be new and interesting by featuring not one, not two, but 3 new major gimmicks, while still failing on pretty much all the same fronts. Worms Revolution adds classes. No longer are all worms created equal. There's the Scientist, who heals every teammate by 5 each time it's their turn. There's the Scout, who deals weak damage overall but is very agile. There's the Heavy, that is the direct opposite of the Scout. And then there's the Soldier, which is just like the normal average worm you've always been playing as. The way this system is implemented is strange. It's pretty bad. You can't just change your class whenever you want. You have to buy worms of that class using in-game currency. And the price increases with each purchase, meaning to get a team of 4 worms of one class, you gotta grind quite a bit. Again, I don't really want grinds or money or store purchases in my party game, but even if it was implemented differently, the whole class system is kind of stupid anyway, at least in my opinion. In previous games, every player started the match on equal footing, more or less. Everyone had the same worm stats and started with the same weapons, except maybe one weapon. Now, a new player could play against somebody who grinded for a team of 4 scientists and have to face an opponent who regens 20 health every single turn, or a team of 4 heavies and they get fucking demolished because it's like a guy who just deals double damage. The second gimmick the game added was water. Water is everywhere in this game. They love their water. They're so proud of adding it that it's even in the fucking logo. By water, I'm not talking about the water on the bottom of the map that insta-kills every worm. That's been present since the first game. It's a new type of dynamic water that is affected by physics. It washes worms away and deals a whopping 5 drowning damage every turn to worms submerged in it. There's 4 new weapons dedicated to this dynamic water. A water bazooka, a water grenade, a water airstrike, and a water jetpack. There's also elements in the terrain that, Wait, that's the third gimmick. New to this game are destructible objects, lodged within the terrain. Previously, objects did exist in the maps, but they were just part of the terrain, just kinda look differently. These ones are static. You can break them, but they're like a whole solid object. Upon breaking, they will release some shit out of it, like poison or water or something. You can also move them around using the newly added telepathy weapon, knock them around using certain tools and weapons, or just, I don't know, man. In my opinion, all of these gimmicks are trying too hard. Maybe I'm just a hater who hates new things. Quit having fun! Dynamic water is kind of pointless. Its main use is pushing worms into the actual water at the bottom of the map. But we already had plenty of tools for that, like the iconic baseball bat, melee attacks, Uzis, pretty much everything with knockback. So it doesn't really need 4 separate weapons just for that. It's like reinventing the wheel. You can also submerge worms in it, but like I said earlier, it deals like nothing. It deals 5 damage at the start of every turn, meaning it either does absolutely nothing, or straight up nothing if you're playing against one other team, because you can just straight up out-heal the damage with a team of all scientists. Or just leave the water. Or it becomes a death sentence if you're playing against multiple people, because it's gonna be like a whole 5-6 turns before you get to move. Especially if you're sharing a team with somebody, and it'll be at twice as long before you get to play. Actually, is it really a death sentence? Even then it's only like 25 damage, that's like 1 shotgun shell, that's nothing. It's just so bad, it's so nothing, such a nothing addition. The physics objects, I don't really like. Terrain destruction is the best thing about worms in my opinion, as you can tell by me constantly bringing it up. And having large chunks of the terrain filled with random bullshit is not that epic bacon if you ask me. Set sail for epic fail! And the telepathy item that lets you move around the objects is just pointless and unnecessarily convoluted to use. It's just added for the sake of making the objects actually movable. If you wanted to make barricades, we already had girders for that. And if you wanted to make a whole structure, or to protect yourself from multiple angles, the pack of girders item was right there. So this is just an overcomplicated re-implementation of something that was already simple and perfect, just to make it seem like the new gimmicks actually have a purpose. They fucking love reinventing the wheel. Come on, man, just one more wheel. This time it will be better. Come on, man, trust me, bro. Just one more time, just one more wheel. Just one more wheel. And then we have the other flaws of the game. Physics are one of them. For some reason, they decided to ruin the ninja rope, the #1 method of transportation in all Worms games, and the item with the most skill expression. They made it physics-based, as opposed to the very stiff, gravity-defying rope we were used to. You can't do stupid shit like this. You have to do boring mountain climbing like this. This makes rope maneuvering really difficult and forces you to use the stupid fucking class system and have a scout if you want to actually move around. Because the heavy is not going anywhere, he is not moving anywhere. Core mechanics being unnecessarily reworked, tedious grinds, little customization, mostly limited to cosmetics, and some level themes which were released as paid DLC. Again, they focused heavily on unnecessary gimmicks, instead of making what people liked back in the day. But we don't even know what people want anymore, cause you guessed it, we have another fanbase split. Now we have 2D lovers, 3D lovers, and 2D with classes lovers. That's too many lovers, I can't handle them all. Worms WMD is good. It's good. They listened to the fanbase and made a game that people love. So why is the franchise still low-key dead if the game is good? Cause they listen once, then never again. The new art style is interesting, and I actually dig it. It's got an edgy feel to it, while still remaining cute. The maps are cool, the UI is good, there's a lot of weapon variety, a lot. Perhaps even more than Armageddon, if you include all the crafted weapons. Oh wait, let's wait on that one. The old Armageddon physics are back, but just when you thought it was gonna be peak, they had to sneak in a few little slops in there. Crafting, deployables, and building interiors. Nah, okay. Interiors are actually really interesting. No hate for those. I think that's actually a really good idea. Crafting is interesting. I don't really mind the concept. While it's not your turn, it lets you do something instead of just passively watching, and strategize a little. Tinkering with your weapons, decrafting useless ones you know you won't use, and getting new ones that will catch your enemies off guard. Crafting is actually something that, to me, feels oddly fitting for the franchise, and should have been kept in future installments. They actually struck something with this one. Maybe not gold, but like a geode? It could be a gem if it was worked on a tiny bit. It needed some tinkering and polishing, some balance changes in terms of what resources you get from what weapons, how the ingredients work, but overall, I think it's a pretty interesting way to add more strategy to the game, in a fair and balanced way. A broken clock comes twice a day or something. Then we have the deployables, so the vehicles and the turrets. They suck, I'll be honest with you. They don't feel fitting for the game the way they were implemented. They're placed in random spots upon map generation, and if you get close enough, you can enter and use them. There's tanks, sniper guns, mortars, mechs, helicopters, the fucking Rocket League car, a dubstep cannon that aged very well, just a lot of random shit. They're strong, and thus they become key strategic points. A lot of them are capable of dealing a lot of damage to whole groups of worms, and they're really tanky, leading to the start of the game being a mad dash to the closest deployable. Except the Rocket League car, we don't talk about that one. Once you get inside of a vehicle or a turret, an enemy worm can kick you out of it by just walking next to you, even if it doesn't really make sense like with a tank. On one hand, it's good that you can prevent enemies from hogging them, but on the other hand, like, wouldn't it be more interesting if each team got one single tank or like a vehicle of their own choice that only their worms could use, if we're gonna do the whole vehicle thing? Similar to how things have been done previously, with you deciding your worm's team weapon, team fort, and all teams having the same starting stuff. Or even to kick someone out, you have to like shoot them first or something. I don't really know actually, I'm not a game designer, but I know that I play with vehicles and turrets off. Maybe if the turrets were actually placed in logical spots, like on the balconies of buildings instead of just like randomly thrown around. Or maybe if you could just like deploy them yourself or call down a vehicle using an airstrike. I know they can't spawn mid-game, but that's random and not because of a player. Speaking of buildings, building interiors. They're amazing actually. This broken clock just keeps being right. Maybe it's not even broken. Maybe it's just confused. It doesn't know what to do. You can't see someone inside a building unless your worm is also in that building, or unless the building has holes, whether player-made or windows or balconies. This adds a lot of strategy to the game, and well, just like with the deployables, everyone goes on mad dashes to the nearest buildings as soon as the game starts, just for that strategic advantage. Unlike deployables, you don't really get any offensive power from doing so, mostly strategic power. I think it would be cool if they implemented the building interior system to the terrain itself, where if you dig deep enough, it turns into a cave, where you can only see the interior by using certain gear like bunker busters or using new weapons that map out caves using tremors or something. Again, I'm no game designer, I'm just a little fella. So if Worms WMD was so good, then what happened? They kind of abandoned it. They struck gold, like I said. They could have kept adding to it, keeping the community alive, but they decided to move on. I don't know why exactly. Some stuff was added in updates, mostly crossover content I believe, but eventually they just dipped onto the next project. But why? WMD is good enough as a base to keep adding onto. Why do they continue to shoot themselves in the foot like that? Did they like it that way? Did they like it? Now we have another split in the fanbase. 2D lovers are now split between Armageddon and WMD, except thankfully Armageddon is winning by a majority, so it's not as bad as the other splits. But the message is clear. The franchise is dying due to mismanagement by Team 17. They just don't know what to do with it. And when they do something good, they just dip. What do they even want? What is their ideal Worms game? Because I know what mine is, and I don't think I see eye to eye with them. Yeah, so like Worms is a turn-based game with terrain destruction. How about we make like a real-time game instead? Like Lero? No. It'll be a battle royale with battle passes. It's gonna make us so much money. Think of the shareholders. I don't know what they're expecting. It's a Worms game in name only. I guess they were brave enough to try something new, but like they try new things too often is the issue I have. They gotta slow it down. You have an audience who likes one thing and you try to do another thing to bring in the new folks, but like the new folks are gonna like the new thing and not the old thing, so then you have to pander to both of them. Worms XCOM. So, while working on this video, a new Worms game has leaked. It's like Worms meets XCOM, or Worms meets Mario X Rabbids. There's terrain destruction, which is crazy that it's a selling point for a Worms game now, but it's just straight up not what people wanted. Again. Instead of breaking the terrain, you break tiles. Whole tiles, like it's Minecraft or something. We've been screaming for a new 3D Worms game for ages, since 2011. But not like this. not like this. It seems to be using assets from Rumble, so it's a spin-off of a spin-off? I'll be honest, like stop with the spin-offs honestly, stop doing side projects, for now at least please. Just make what people want. You did great with WMD, just do it again. You saw people loving the 3D games, just do them again. You want money? I will pay you. If you make a good game, please. This video has ended up being very rambly, and I did not share my time equally with certain games. I apologize, but it comes from my heart, and I wish I knew what the fuck Team 17 is up to these days, and why do they hate these poor little critters. What I'd love from a future Worms game is something modern. Return to the Golden Age formula, with the same physics as before that everyone has built muscle memory for. Let us customize every single inch of every single weapon, how reactive to the wind the bazooka is, how many shots in a shotgun, how good at tracking a homing missile is, etc. Custom maps, custom hats, ability to make all the custom content possible with Steam Workshop support, custom weapons, scripted in-game using, I don't know what, Lua, Java, I don't fucking know what people use, but something. Custom game rules. Let us have 30 worms on a team each on massive maps if we want to. The more customization the better. Again, I'll emphasize this, workshop support. Imagine downloading a weapon you saw in the workshop and adding it to your party game nights. There's gonna be a lot of wacky bullshit in there, I'm sure, but it will be so fun. Focus on the party mode aspects, because that's what Worms is to me and a lot of players. It's a party game. It can get competitive for some, sure. Rope racing is a whole subgenre of players who want to take it seriously. There's also competitive Worms deathmatch players who play by very specific rule sets. And I think the additions I'm suggesting would help those people too. Imagine all the crazy courses you could have for rope racing with all the additions you could do. I don't know, it's still a party game for most. I don't care for grinds. I don't want campaigns or stores or classes or anything like that. I don't care for wacky water gimmicks. I want to invite a few of my friends for a party game night and have drunk fun, shit talking each other, setting bets, having a blast. Make it the best party game it can be, with high replayability, lots of customization, and I'll be yours forever. I love Worms. I'm passionate about the franchise because it means a lot to me. Thank you for watching, and sorry for the rambles. And now, it's time for the yearbook, which is a monthly tier for YouTube members, who get a little drawing made by me, and it gets added to the yearbook with a quote of their choosing. First we have Sophus, who has returned from the Pebbernotter quarry in perfect condition to continue work as the CEO of Softcorp. Then we have Viewbot. Scratchback, your purchase of 500 worms has been approved and received. Thank you. I was waiting for a while. Thank you.